What's up, y'all? Shaman the Shank back at you with another one. And I know I've been on a roll with the Bucks. I know I have, but you know I love my Emersons as well. And I made a comment a few videos back that I would definitely be eyeballing a new Emerson down the line. And yes, here it is. Here it is, guys. And I'm pretty excited about this one. I've always loved this Emerson, and it just hasn't been on the market for a long period of time, and it finally popped back up on there. So you know I had to get with it. And without further ado, that knife is the CQC-13. Ooh, baby, baby, baby. Look at that beaut. And you know I'm a sucker for the Bowies, the Bowies, whatever you want to call it, baby. It is, they knocked it out the park. I mean, and this design has been around for a hot minute. And it's been off the market for a minute. They actually haven't put this in production for a long period of time, and I've always been emailing Emerson like, when are you going to redo? When are you going to make more of the 13s? And they always just said, we don't know, it's not on the list, but bam, it dropped on there, and I jumped on that thing hotter than a whatever you want to say, baby, whatever you want to say. But let's get right on into it, baby. This thing is a whopping 9 inches long. And I know that sounds long, guys, but the CQC-8 is 9.3 inches. So, you know, if you've held a CQC-8, this is not overbearing. It's not overbearing at all. And, you know, it's classic ergonomics on it. You know, I'll get into that. But the blade is coming in at 3.85 inches. So right there under that 4-inch mark, which is, to me, very doable. Like I said, you know, I love my bigger knives. And this definitely is a bigger knife, no doubt about it. But it feels great in the hand. I mean, you know, like I said, sometimes I feel like a broken record on here talking about these Emersons because they're all so different, but also very alike in the same manner. But, of course, you know, you got the weight isn't listed for this, but if I had to say, I would definitely say between like 5 and 6, but it does feel light to me. It really does feel light. I mean, like I said, for such a big knife, it really is not that heavy, and it feels great in the pocket too, guys. Like I said, it's really not, it's not the thinnest profile, and I'm going to touch base on a couple of things that I've noticed with this knife, but it is phenomenal, guys, phenomenal. And like I said, the ergonomics on this are amazing. And I've always heard that about the CQC-13. The ergonomics are really, people were like praising it. They always say, oh man, this is an amazing knife. And they're not lying. This knife feels great in the hand. And like I said, I mean, it just locks in your hand. That finger choil right there, gripping in, feels phenomenal. And you have a lot of handle here. A lot of handle. You can back it up. You can hold it, you know, little backwards motion right there, feels phenomenal. And really, to be honest with you, this little hook, this little thing at the end of the handle, the butt of the handle sticking out, feels phenomenal whenever you're holding a reverse grip on this thing. Your index finger just grips right in there, like a kind of little finger choil back here. So, you know, you grip right in there and it feels phenomenal. Great control, razor sharp, guys, razor sharp. And, you know, I love my Bowie blades. And to be honest with you, I can't review this knife without comparing it to other Emerson Bowies that I have. And without further ado, again, let me start off by breaking out my Appalachian. Now, as you see, guys, I would say the blade length, I don't have a hard number for you. It is out there. I probably did say it back on the Appalachian review video, but I do believe the CQC-13 does beat out the Appalachian in length by just a hair. Nothing too substantial. But as you see here with them side by side, they are relatively kind of similar. And I remember when the Appalachian came out, people were just going like, wow, you know, the Appalachian makes the 13 look tame. Not really, because I mean, look at that upswept edge right there in both of these. Just the only thing that may make the Appalachian appear a bit more aggressive is just its thinner profile. Looks a little bit, you know, thinner in that sense, like not as wide as the 13, but essentially they're kind of the same ballpark design in a way, blade wise, but you know, but they are different, don't get me wrong. You know, an Appalachian, the feel, the blade is definitely different from this, but both of these knives are phenomenal. And you know, like I said, the Appalachian is aimed towards hunting, when this, you know, with the name CQC standing for close quarters combat, is definitely a self-defense focused knife, like majority of Emersons are. But moving right along, another Bowie that I have in the collection to compare it to, that I've already also did a review on, you can check out, is the Bowie blade rendition of the Sheepdog. And there is a pretty, I don't want to say substantial difference here, but definitely, if you look at it this way, the Sheepdog is a bit more forward facing than the upswept, you know, the upswept clip point of the 13. But, you know, they're all clip points, guys. I mean, they're all, you know, Bowie based, but aside from that, you know, they're pretty decently closed. But like I said, the main difference in this knife that I can notice is just the width of the blade. I mean, and really, to be honest with you, even on camera, you have to, like I said before in other knife videos that I've done, you have to hold a knife and really get a feel for it to really see that. I know sometimes, you know, it's great to see a video, to see someone's thoughts on it, kind of go over it, but the width of this blade is definitely a lot wider than these I'm reviewing. But the closest rendition to this, but really not rendition when it comes to like width, would be the old trusty, my heart, the Apache. This really kind of matches up. To be honest with you, I want to say that the Apache in some points of the blade may even be a little hair bit wider than the 13, but there is some pretty substantial differences. To be honest with you, between the Apache and the 13, out of the other two, the Appalachian and the Sheepdog, this one has the biggest differences in it, because if you notice with the Apache, you have that forward facing blade, and of course with the 13, you have that dramatic upswept edge right there, tip. But they are gorgeous. But you know I'm talking about the 13 here, but man, I love this Apache. And as you see, since I reviewed this video, I've thrown some Burlap scales on there from Kahless, and they are phenomenal, guys. Check him out. Kahless is great. Tom Ingleson is great. Both great, phenomenal dudes. Definitely check them out. And that Burlap feels phenomenal in the hand, and that makes this knife even stand out even more. But back to the main event, guys. I can't let these overshadow the 13. The 13 is amazing, guys, and I had to get my hands on this. And to be honest with you, it's definitely a knife that I plan, which I might use all my knives. I'll try to at least. But this is definitely a knife that I think I'm going to keep it as is. As you see, I've put some screws on this thing just to add some spice to it. It's my lucky 13, baby. Happy Friday the 13th, baby. But I love it. You know, I just put some green, you know, screws from there, from Screws For You off eBay. I've mentioned him many times before. I'll put his information down below if you guys missed that. But yeah, I just put some on there, and I put the gold Emerson Clover Thumbdisc on there, along with, you know, the green to kind of go along with the other green. But other than that, guys, I'm going to keep this thing regular. I really am. This knife begs to be used. I mean, this is a great everyday carry, great work knife. And to be honest with you, you know, every time I talk about clip points or buoys in general, buoys, like I said, Bowies, guys, please don't be too hard on me about that. You know, I've always said Bowie since I was a little boy, and I'm going to keep saying Bowie probably, but it is what it is. But with this tip, guys, there is a lot of material behind that tip. And when you want to compare it maybe to let's break out the Appalachian again. As you see, I mean, it kind of, you really can't tell from the camera, but looking at it in person, you can definitely see there's a lot more material behind that tip of the 13. And, you know, and that's okay, because, you know, like I said, the Appalachian is not based or meant to be a self-defense knife, which it very well can be, no doubt about it. I do not want anybody coming after me with any of these knives by any means, or any knife for that matter. But this knife was meant to be used. This knife was meant to be rode hard and hung up wet. There ain't no doubt about that. And this knife is going to be a staple in my pocket along with these other buttes. But this is definitely going to be a go-to for me. And like I said, I'm going to keep that black G10 on there. This feels right to me. And I'm definitely going to put it to work. But this knife came in at, I believe, 274. It was 274, you know, with not including the shipping. I don't know wherever you may be watching this video or where you live, you know, that's going to vary on that. But 274 for this. And actually, to be honest with you, it is one of the more pricier versions of a Bowie that Emerson does make. I believe the Sheepdog with the Bowie came in at 263. I believe the Appalachian came in at 262, and surprisingly, the Apache came in at 249, which, to be honest with you, and you know, I love all my knives, and I love them all, especially when they look like this, but to be honest with you, if I had one knife to pick out of this whole entire collection, and I had to keep one, I would have to go with the Apache. I mean, the Apache is just absolutely beautiful. The design of it, it just feels amazing, especially with those Kahless Burlap scales on there. Beautiful knife, guys. But this knife is absolutely wonderful, and it's actually in stock right now at Emerson.com, EmersonKnives.com, and check it out. But I don't see it being on there too much longer, guys. This knife has been on hiatus for, dare I say, I mean, I may have missed a drop, I may have overlooked something, but this knife has been out of production for a hot minute, and people have been demanding it, and Emerson finally heard the call and put them back on there, and I'm super glad he did, guys, because this is a gnarly knife. I mean, especially for, like, you know, everyday tasks, but self-defense as well, guys. I mean, this is, you know, it's got the Emerson wave on it. This thing flies out flawlessly, just like pretty much every Emerson I can speak for, but it is phenomenal. Definitely check it out. And like I said, you know, it is a bigger EDC, but you know, if you like knives in that range, and you know, you're not too over concerned about weight, which, like I said, it feels great, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and say 5 ounces on this knife. This knife is not that heavy, especially when open. It's greatly distributed. But another thing I wanted to touch on about this knife, because like I was saying, the CQC-13 isn't made that often. It's been a number of years before it was it's popped back on the website. But I've noticed something, because I know the CQC-13 isn't made a lot, and the Appalachian isn't made a lot. And I was just kind of looking at these, and I kind of noticed something. And if I'm wrong, you know, you're Emerson aficionado, however you want to say it, potato, tomato, tell me if I'm wrong about this. But I've noticed something about the bottom of the tang of the knife. Since, you know, if you have an Emerson, it's kind of hard to tell on there, if you have an Emerson and you ever need to send it in to get repaired, if you can read in the fine print, well, it's really not fine print, but it's on there, they'll tell you, you know, depending upon the production of the knife, I guess if they have stuff in stock like liners, blade, even G10 handles, you know, if you need to get your knife repaired, it all depends upon that as well. So say you had a CQC-13 from, like, you know, 3 years ago, and something unfortunately may have happened to it, you know, that needs to be corrected. From the writing on the Emerson website, it doesn't seem like they would be able to, I may be wrong, they wouldn't be able to fix it unless, you know, they had CQC-13s in. And with that being said, going back to what I initially was going after, I've noticed the tang of the blade, and like I said, it's kind of hard to see, but you can kind of see it. The tang of the blade kind of slants down a bit more. And I'm wondering if, you know, they know this knife is going to be in production for a while after it runs out, if they did this intentionally just to, you know, prolong the life of the knife. And, you know, I don't think, you know, I think, you know, these knives will last years and years to come, even without this, because if you notice on the sheepdog, I know that thing's pretty much already at like 75 to 80% lock, but that tang is like straight across. And when you compare it to this, that tang is like super slanted down, like kind of like, you know, prolonging that from, you know, reaching 100%, you know, lock. But yeah, guys, and also, like I said, also with the Appalachian, you know, this one's not made that often either, and you can kind of see, if you look real closely, you can see that tang slants down a lot more. And don't even get me started on the Appalachian. This bad boy is like right there on it, but it still has great lockup, not a problem. But, you know, that's like straight across when compared to that. So I just wonder if, you know, Emerson is prolonging, or, you know, just kind of covering their tails on these, you know, just so if there is to be some complication, you know, it wouldn't happen. Or, you know, they know it's not going to be in stock for a while, so they know that they need to really, you know, get that tang and really make sure that lockup stays proficient for a very, very long time. That's just my 2 cents on it. But that's a little, you know, cool little note that I've noticed about it. But guys, this knife is phenomenal. I'll probably flick this thing open like over 100 times since I've had it. Absolutely no blade play. I haven't even had to touch the pivot. Phenomenal. And my family just went camping the other week, and I got this, you know, right before then, and I said, you know what, I'm going to put this bad boy to the test. I'm going to bring this knife along with me, and I carried it the whole entire week while at the beach, and let me tell you something, it held up like a tank, man. Cutting rope, opening packages. I took it fishing with me. We did some, we went to a campground, did some, you know, fishing out there on their ponds and all that. And I mean, I didn't get it near the salt water, don't get me wrong. When I did some shore fishing, I did not take it out there. I wouldn't take any of my knives out there for that matter. But this knife held up like a tank, guys. And like I said, it is absolutely gorgeous, phenomenal knife. Like I said, it's on the website right now, and you know, I'm not earnest. I don't know if you know, they're going to restock them when they run out, but you know, they're still on there. There's not any sign. Usually when they get down on Emerson website, whenever they get down like below like 7 or 5, they'll tell you like only 5 left in stock, and it's not saying anything like that. But I don't see them being on there too much longer, guys, because this is a classic in high demand. I'm really kind of surprised that it's still on there. But guys, it's an amazing knife. And like I said, you know, these other, I know the Apache isn't in stock either, and who knows when that will come back in, but the Appalachian stays on hand. Beautiful, beautiful knife. You really can't go wrong with this, and the ergonomics on this are phenomenal. But like I said, it's aimed more towards hunting, and when you hold the knife, whenever you hold these two knives, you can definitely feel a difference in their purpose, you know. But like I said, a knife is what you make it, but this knife is definitely aimed toward, you know, being that big beefy hunter, hunter of men, if you know what I mean. This is hunter of animal, hunter of game. This is hunter of them bad mofos that need to get the business, okay? But definitely check it out, guys. I really can't think of anything else to say about this bad boy other than one more thing I did notice. I think, and I may be wrong here, I think and I've heard other people make comments about this, I think the liners on this are a little bit thicker than some of the other knives. I mean, if you hold it side by side, I know this would be very hard to see on camera. Hopefully I can kind of capture it. Yeah, they kind of look the same from looking at it from the screen. But I've noticed in person looking at it, these liners look a little hair bit thicker than these other ones that I'm looking at. Even on the, Apache. A little, nothing substantial though. But like I said, this knife is very, very sturdy, very well built. You know, that Emerson quality that, you know, if you're an Emerson fan, you know, I know people have every company has their lemons and stuff, and I do really encourage people who have had maybe a bad Emerson back in like the early 2000s to please revisit, please reconsider Emerson, because their production quality has been phenomenal. And like I said, I've been carrying an Emerson since, you know, 2015, 2014, in that range, and I've never had an issue back then. But their production quality is amazing. Like I said, with the pivot stay in place, the lockup, just the overall knife itself, amazing, amazing. I can't say it enough. But guys, that pretty much sums it up. I had to get back on here. I'm super proud of this knife, and I'm looking forward to really putting it through the paces and giving it a lot of pocket time, which it will get. And yeah, that's about it. The Emerson CQC-13. Let me tell you something. There ain't nothing unlucky about this 13. The only unlucky person when it comes to this is going to be on the business side of it, you hear me? But God forbid that ever happens to you. But aside from all that, you know, all the blood and the guts, this is a great everyday use, or a great hard use knife. And like I said, you know, within reason, I would not be afraid to put this tip to the test. And like I said, I've already put in the tip to the test with the Appalachian, and it didn't skip a beat. So I don't have any doubt that this one would hold up with some pretty wild, you know, unnecessary business, if you get what I mean. But yeah, great knife, guys. This knife is definitely built for the long haul, and you will not regret getting this knife if this knife appeals to you. And like I said, the size is not, you know, too large for you. It does feel great in the pocket with my keys. I usually carry my keys and my knife in the same pocket, and this knife is no problem whatsoever. Once it's closed, it rides right in there. And like I said, that little, you know, butt little stick out appendage, whatever you want to call it, right there, it just sticks right there at the tip of your pocket, man. You can just pop that bad boy right out. But yeah, guys, definitely check it out, the CQC-13. It's your lucky day. And with that being said, guys, please, as always, I want you guys to take care of yourselves. I want you to keep your knives good and sharp, but more importantly, I want you to stay sharp.